This is how you can tell that Randall is taller than me. All right, well, thank you so much for being here. As Randall was just saying, it's a true honor to have you all not only accept the invitation, but actually make it here. That's amazing. Randall went over this already, but I'm going to sort of split it into the 2 days of this is an overview of the meeting, brief introduction, so that we have an idea of what we're doing today and what the structure of the 2 days is going to be. Day one is going to be sort of that focus on what's the future of pediatric critical care, that question, that last question, or second to last question that Randall was posing. What are the most salient problems that we face, and how can data science and technology help, and informatics help solve those problems? Day two, and this is sort of more the VPQ big questions. The day two is going to be a little bit more focused on the data collaboration side, so on the aggregation of EHR data and how we can build this data collaborative to be bigger and more ambitious and more far-reaching, and hopefully for those of you from sites that are currently not part of the collaborative, that you'll be enticed to join the effort. And where should we go next with this large-scale data collaboration? You'll see that there's a lot of brainstorming and strategizing and discussion time. Actually, the majority of the time is going to be interacting between all of us. It's not going to be talks. The talks this morning is sort of the denser talk time, just to get us all started, break the ice, get inspiration from the speakers that will present in a second, are going to sort of inspire us for the discussions in the afternoon. But what is the purpose then of all this brainstorming, prototyping, and thinking about the future? First, the best way to predict the future is to create it. We are data scientists, so we'd like great AUC. So if we can create it, we can actually get a perfect discrimination. And one prototype is worth 1,000 meetings is a classic tenet in technology development. And that's how many of the folks that precede us in technology think about this. Is the first Apple prototype, the first Macintosh, and probably one of the latest MacBook Pros. And it's all about building the next prototype, rapid iteration, and imagining the future to push technology forward. And why now? This is sort of the inspiration of why do we think this is the time for what we're doing. I'm going to briefly go through this history of consumer IT and compare it to where we are in healthcare IT. And starting in 1997, because that's the year I had my first Hotmail account. And internet adoption, and that was the logo in 1997. The internet adoption was 25% in American households in 1997. 3 years later, the adoption had increased all the way to 70% of households, and this is the year that the dot-com boom started. This is when companies that didn't exist before were being built in completely online, and there was big fortunes made, big fortunes lost. 7 years later, adoption of internet in American households reached the 90% threshold and continued to increase from there. And that's the year that Steve Jobs introduced the first iPhone. Since then, these companies and many others have essentially taken over the way we consume information, buy products, watch entertainment, etc., and have come to dominate in many ways a lot of our lives. For good and for bad, but in balance, that's all been made possible by platforms like the iPhone and wearable and the adoption of internet that is ubiquitous right now. The comparison in healthcare IT, I'm not going to start in 1985 for the first microcomputer book, or 1997 when Randall funded the VPICU, but in 2012, because this is the year that Barack Obama signed the Affordable Care Act, which included provisions to increase the adoption of electronic health records as part of that plan. And in combination with the 2009 HITECH Act, really boosted the adoption of EHRs in the United States. At that time, EHR adoption of full-fledged EHRs in major hospitals around the country was 25%. 3 years later, in 2015, that EHR adoption was up to 70%. This is the year that NIH started the Big Data to Knowledge funding program. That's how people like myself, who as fellows were excited about data science and informatics, but we're being told, you know what, you can't have a funded career because NIH is never going to fund your work. And after 2015, obviously, that changed. And 7 years after that, last year, we finally reached more than 90% of major hospitals having full-fledged EHR adoption, mostly 2 vendors, unfortunately, but it is what it is. And this is now the era of the standardization, interoperability. The government and the ONC is promoting the use of HL7 FHIR as our language of exchange so that we can build tools in one hospital and translate them more easily to another hospital through these APIs in the electronic health records, this application program interfaces that speak the same language, this FHIR language and others, so that we can really build ecosystems of applications and clinical decision support tools in the same way and same philosophy of how the apps in iPhones work, so that we can build tools, share them, and use them, improve them over time, and create sort of a developer environment for healthcare solutions. Now, what comes after this? It's what we all decide. This is the future of where we are right now. I think of these first 10 years as the adoption years, and now we're entering at that tipping point of the impact years. And if we can make something like YouTube, Amazon, and Netflix, but that the power and the might of those companies is put into to improve the health of the kids that we take care, I think we're going to be doing well. All right, so the overview for today. We just saw the couple introductions. Mike Dean is going to be our keynote speaker. Thank you so much for accepting that invitation. And then we're going to go through these 6 short but inspiring talks of the future of these different topics. As you can see, Martha's going to talk about clinical trials, Jen about precision medicine, Rishi about predictive analytics, Jerry about quality improvement, Sapna about thriving in and after the PICU, and then Vinay about the advanced education and simulation. And this is going to be the setup for this afternoon's breakout groups, where we'll have all of us divided into 4 different topics. We'll have different spaces in the hotel. Jeff will help us sort of get distributed. Unfortunately, the rooms are not like next to each other, so there's going to be some coordination to get to those rooms, and then come back here and have a nice discussion. I'll talk a little bit before the breakout sessions about some of the ground rules and things like that about brainstorming and what the products that we're hoping to get out. And then tonight we'll have dinner at Killer Shrimp across the street, literally like 1 minute from here. And I think I have a map somewhere there. The one thing, the sneak peek for day 2, so Reed is going to introduce day 2 for you tomorrow, the things that we're going to be doing there. But a sneak peek is that at 1:30 we have a slot for a special panel. And we decided, after sort of going back and forth of how we were going to set it up, instead of us coming up with the panel discussion ideas and the panelists, we decided we're going to do it the same way we're doing a lot of the things that we're doing in the PICU Data Collaborative, which is crowdsourced. That is, you are all going to decide who you want to have as panelists and who you want, what the specific topics are going to be. It must be something related to data or informatics, so that's why we're here. So don't make it about, I don't know, ARDS. It could be ARDS with data. And the other rule is that it must be a diverse panelist to take advantage of the expertise in the room. If you look around, this is not all the usual data nerds that are in front of a computer writing code all day. This is a very diverse group of people, because all of you bring all this phenomenal expertise and diversity of idea, multidisciplinary approaches to thinking about the future of critical care. So we want that to be imbued in every single part of this meeting, and not be sort of this echo chamber of people talking about the same things all the time. There's the map. If you get lost, you don't get to eat food. That's just. All right. So really quickly, so Mike Dean, Professor Vice Chair of Research at the University of Utah, will be our keynote speaker. And then really briefly, Martha, Jen, Rishi, and Jerry, Sadna, and Vinay are going to come afterwards. I'm not going to introduce them each at a time because you guys know them. And here we go. You're going to put your computer, right? Yeah.